2, 3, test, test. Hi, early birds. We'll start in about 45 seconds. Good evening. This is Kunchab Tardu Ling, the Tibet Center, Buddhist Meditation and Study Center located in northern New Jersey and New York City, under the direction of His Eminence Chab-che Ling Rinpoche, and also under the direction of Rato Khensa Thupten Lungdup, also known as Geshe Nicholas Vreeland. And this is our twice weekly presentation of the Buddha Dharma, specifically Stages on the Path to Enlightenment, the Lamrim Chenmo, Great Lamrim of Tsong-kha-pa, J. Tsong-kha-pa. Problems with the picture, the sound, etc., please let me or Mr. Smith know right away. All the prayers we say are on the website in the FAQ section. Scroll. There's a lot of squirrels around here. So scroll down to prayers. And also, if there is anyone for whom you want us to pray for who has passed away recently, place their names in the chat box or the comment box, whatever you call it. So we have a lot to do tonight. Tonight, the format, if you want to tag this thing, first of all, we'll hear from Milarepa for the first time in a while. He's fully booked, but we had a cancellation, so we got in. And also, we will be dealing with the 14th chapter of the Lamrim, but we'll be dealing with specifically with Geshe Sopa's commentary on it. And we'll be discussing the definition of conventional reality, what ultimate reality is, and also how we perceive things, how we see something, the mind translates it, and where errors can be made. It's very, very interesting. It will probably take 2 classes to cover fully. I don't know. And that's it. So we have a lot to do. So let's start as soon as possible, which is right now. Also, this is my beginning of my 47th year at the Tibet Center. So 46 years ago today, I met our teacher, Rato Chungla Rinpoche, and I never left, even though he tried to throw me out. It didn't work. Anyway, prayer for the spreading of the teachings throughout the length and breadth of the West. By the force of the blessings of the non-fallacious 3 precious gems, and of the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddhist teachings flourish and spread to the expanse of all areas throughout the length and breadth of the West, for all the people living here together with their near ones who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them. May all conditions adverse to their practice of the pure Dharma be dispelled, and an excellent collection of favorable conditions increase like the waxing moon. And especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing and spreading of the victorious one's teachings, which are the source of benefit and happiness, may they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions, and may this spontaneously happen just as we have hoped and wished. In the Heart Sutra, thus have I heard once, the Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a big gathering of great monks and great bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the samadhi which examines the dharmas called profound illumination, and at the same time noble Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva, Mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the 5 skandhas in their natural emptiness. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, how should those noble ones learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge? And Avalokiteshvara answered, Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this, seeing the 5 skandhas in their natural emptiness. Form is empty. Emptiness itself is form. Emptiness is not separate from form. Form is not separate from emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discriminating, awareness, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Thus, all the dharmas are empty and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, since there is emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discriminating awareness, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no objects of mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought, no quality of mind consciousness. There are no nidanas from ignorance to old age and death, nor their wearing out. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, since there is no attainment, the bodhisattvas abide by means of transcendent knowledge. And since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. They transcend falsity and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future by means of transcendent knowledge, fully and clearly awaken to unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering, should be known as truth. For there is no deception. In transcendent knowledge, the mantra is proclaimed, Tayato Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhisoha. O Shariputra, this is how Bodhisattva Mahasattva should learn profound transcendent knowledge. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and praised the Bodhisattva Mahasattva of Avalokiteshvara, saying, Good, good, O son of noble family, profound, transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering in the world with its gods, humans, Asuras, and Gandharvas, their hearts full of joy, praised the words of the Blessed One. In our refuge and bodhisattva vow, which we say 3 times. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge through the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. May all the pains of living creatures ripen solely upon myself, and through the might of the Bodhisattva Sangha, may all beings experience happiness. May the teachings which are the sole medicine for suffering and the origin of every joy be materially supported and honored and abide for a very long time. I prostrate to Manjagosha, through whose kindness wholesome minds ensue, and I prostrate to my spiritual masters, through whose kindness I develop. As a cause for the swift return, the Rato Chungla Rinpoche, His Holiness Dalai Lama recommends we say this whenever we gather, and we do. It's the prayer he wrote, Prayer for a Swift Return, on the website, of course. Exalted wisdom of all victors gathered in a drop, sole refuge manifest in the form of the one wearing saffron robes, Guru Lozang Tubuang Dorje Chang, please bear witness here today that our prayers may be fulfilled. We beseech the great torch of doctrine, accomplishing from long ago the vast waves of aspirational prayers, Lord of speech of the Victor Losang's teachings, spreading them to the ends of the earth by means of explanation and practice. Though holding the commitment, I will invite all beings to be my guests in unsurpassed great awakening. Yet you have withdrawn the activities of the form body that serves the welfare of others. Is that worthy of the supreme among beings, the bodhisattvas? Though impossible for you till cyclic existences end, to abandon your commitment to liberate all beings, we beseech the new son of Nirmanakaya to swiftly return from the realm of Dharmakaya, brought forth by bodhicitta drawn by 7 steeds. Having reached the far limits of scholarship, religious life, and goodness, please come swiftly as an unrivaled, supreme emanation, full holder of the sage's teachings and wish-fulfilling jewel, return as the glory of Losang Tenpe. Magnificent truth of the 3 precious jewels, Mahakala, Karmayama, and Sri Mata Devi, and the ocean of Dharma protectors, may you spontaneously fulfill our wish, the swift blossoming of the reincarnation's fresh moonlight face. So, as promised, for our opening act, ladies and gentlemen, we're reading from this wonderful translation, The 100,000 Songs of Milarepa, uh, compiled by Sang-yang Haruka a long time ago and translated by Christopher Stagg, the late Christopher Stagg. We lost a good one. Wonderful human translator. Really worked hard. This is chapter 40, and it's Milarepa. It's called Lengam Repa. That's the disciple he met, 481 in this text. All the disciples have this Repa as a last name. Chira Repa, Shengam Repa, Lengam Repa. That's what we're doing today. It's like the Ramones, Joey Ramone, Didi Ramone. They probably stole it from him, Milarepa. Anyway, Namo Guru, it starts. After the Jetson Milarepa's heart son Tsong-kha-pa had returned from India, while in the rows of a feast gathering of most of Milarepa's disciples' sons and students at Poto Red Rock, they used to have these Gana chakras, feasts, festivals, etc., tantric feasts, whatever you want to call it. The Jetson had the students at Poto Red Rock. The Jetson had a song of realization prophesying the future arrival of the incomparable Gampopa, which is the next chapter. Gampopa is the root of the Kagyu lineage. It is said that Tsong-kha-pa was an emanation of Gampopa. One of Tsong-kha-pa's previous lives was as Gampopa. That I got from Thupten Jinpa's biography of Tsong-kha-pa. So we continue. Then students from Chuar invited Milarepa to come to their land, and so he stayed there. A meditator of the Len clan from Dakpo, captivated by what he had heard of the Jetson's renown, came to meet Milarepa. If you knew the Jetson as Jetson Milarepa, came to meet Milarepa in person. At the moment he saw the Jetson's face, an excellent samadhi of bliss, clarity, and non-thought arose. He developed supreme faith. Got good roots, this guy. He said to the Guru, I am a meditator from Dakpo. I have previously received various instructions from several gurus, such as some instruction on the great perfection, Prajnaparamita, in other words. I have also done analytical meditation that uses discriminating prajna, discriminating wisdom, and I have some experience in the practice of equal taste. However, aside from a mere basic understanding of these, I have not gained any confident experience in any of them. Guru, since I heard of your renown, I have come to request the Dharma from you. Please grant me Dharma. The Jetson replied to him, have you had experience like these in your practice? And then he sang this song of realization. So he's asking him questions of what's the story? And here's his song. Remember, all of these are sung accompanied by a guitar, or guitar and those, the damyen, a stringed instrument. Anyway, Milarepa's songs goes this way. Have the Guru's genuine key instructions not strayed into becoming mere words? Now, this is advice for our practice. We got it. Has your discriminating prajna not strayed into clinging to duality? Subject-object duality, in other words. Has the view that is to be realized not been taken by the enemy, perceiver and perceived? Has your meditative concentration without reference point not been undone in the treacherous path of characteristics? Has your conduct of the practice of equal taste not strayed into having doubts? As for the fruition of nirvana, have you not hoped to get it from somewhere else? Has experience disconnected you from your mind stream, not become like water in a stagnant pond? Has the innate emptiness of the nature of mind not been sullied by imputations? Do all yogis who wander in the mountains not get taken by the demon of trying to please others? Thus, this vicious cycle of ignorance and confusion turns round and round like a potter's wheel. That's everything you shouldn't do or shouldn't think about, etc. Right there. So he's saying that's the root of samsara. That's what samsara is all about. Subject-object duality, perceiver, perceived, etc. Getting nirvana from somewhere else. No, comes from within. Thus he sang. Then the man said, that is indeed how it has been for me. Me too. But now I ask you to give me the abhisheka, or the blessing, and key instructions so that will not be like that. Abhisheka means like that, the derivation of it is like to pour, to give, Accordingly, the Jetson gave him the Abhishekas and key instructions and put him to meditate. Due to the man's previous latent tendencies, he was not able to relinquish his virtuous activity encumbered with characteristics. He also had many thoughts of going into places where people lived. The Jetson knew this, and when the meditator came to offer his realization in Milarepa's presence, the Jetson said, Lengam, if you do not meditate one-pointedly, abandoning the frenzied thoughts of wishing to go to places where people are and the virtuous activity encumbered with characteristics, in other words, doing your virtuous activity without the idea of emptiness. No characteristics. This is this, that's inherent characteristics. No, that's what he's saying. He continues, there is a danger that you remain in the three realms of samsara. So, cautioning him in this way, he sang this song of realization. And Milarepa strums his guitar and goes, holding a lineage that is genuine, purifying confusion into space, and seeing the right time for what should be done, one endowed with these is a yogi. When meditating on Mahamudra, there's no need to concentrate with characteristics. When freedom from elaborations arises from within, what's the use of refuting with analysis? For all yogis who wander into towns, who try to please their friends and relatives, and engage in conduct that is pretentious and improper, the inseparability of awareness and emptiness is left hidden. Abandon your concepts. They bring such affliction. At death you will have regret. Thus, before you die, through remembering death and impermanence, be cautious of the enemy of the afflictions. There is a danger you will fall into the abyss of the six realms, back at the samsara, in other words. While always roaming in mountain retreats, if you don't look directly at your mind, there's a danger you'll fall into neutral activity. If you don't supplicate the Guru Lord with great devotion and great faith, there's a danger that your experience will be obscured. If you don't meditate on the profound path of means with fierce diligence and effort, there's a danger the enemy, the afflictions, will win. Always roam in mountain retreats as your monastery. If you do, it's certain the qualities will go. Thus he sang. These words penetrated Lengom's hidden flaws, and he thought of how true what the Jetson said was. He stayed alone in mountain retreats meditating, and a special realization arose. Lengom went to offer his realization to the Jetson, who was pleased and said, that is excellent. Since you still must have these things to adopt and abandon until you attain enlightenment, understand them. Then he sang this song of realization. A son, a wife, and trying to please, these three are the bonds of the yogi. Dharma practitioners must abandon these. These are heavy Dharma practitioners on the verge of Buddhahood. So, goods, wealth, and arrogance, these three are the obstacles of the yogi. Dharma practitioners must abandon these. That's everybody. Goods are, you need goods, but don't get attached to them and see them as inherent. That's all. Next verse. Close ones, benefactors, and disciples, these are what discourage the yogis. Dharma practitioners must abandon these. Liquor, fatigue, and sleep, these three are the bandits of the yogi. Dharma practitioners must abandon these. Chatting, laughing, and entertainment, these three are the distractions of the yogi. Dharma practitioners must abandon these. The guru, key instructions, and faith, these three are the foundations for the yogi. Dharma practitioners must adopt these. Solitary places, good companions, and provisions, these three are the walking stick of the yogi. Dharma practitioners must adopt these. Non-distraction, non-thought, and bliss, these three are the spouse of the yogi. Dharma practitioners must adopt these. Relaxation, spontaneity, and naturalness, Mahamudra terms right here. Relaxation, spontaneity, and naturalness, these three are the demeanor of the yogi. Dharma practitioners must adopt these. Non-attachment, non-aggression, and higher perceptions, these three are the yogi's signs of the path. Dharma practitioners must adopt these. Thus he sang. Lengom said, by the kindness of the Jetson, I have abandoned all of these things to be abandoned, and by so doing, I have implicitly adopted those things to be adopted. Thank you for making it so that I am always happy. The Jetson replied, son, that's it. A yogi who maintains everything that should be abandoned and adopted is always happy and well. If you turn from them, you will always suffer. The dividing line between happiness and misery is what to adopt and abandon. What to adopt, what to abandon. Then he sang this song of realization on the dividing line between happiness and misery. Ooh. The yogi who knows his own, Milarepa sings, the yogi who knows his own face and is in contact with the true nature's reality is always happy. The practitioner who follows after confusion and produces suffering is always miserable. The yogi who rests within non-contrivance and is unchanging and pure with whatever happens is always happy. The practitioner who follows whatever feelings arise, letting attachment and aversion come as they please, is always miserable. The yogi who realizes appearances are dharmakaya and cuts through hopes, fears, and doubts is always happy. The practitioner who acts improperly and rashly and doesn't keep the 8 concerns in check is always miserable. The 8 concerns, 8 worldly dharmas, etc. We've heard a lot of that. We'll hear them again. Next verse. The yogi who, knowing everything is mind, takes whatever appears as a friend and is always happy. The practitioner who wastes this life and has regret at the time of death is always miserable. The yogi who has mastered realization fully and seizes his own place in the abiding nature is always happy. The practitioner who indulges in desire and seeks out attention is always miserable. Make note, seeking attention is a bad habit of our current social situations in this century, especially with all the media around. Next verse. The yogi for whom characteristics are liberated in their own place and who has continuous experience is always happy. The practitioner who, following after words and terms, has no resolve about mind is always miserable. The yogi who abandons worldly deeds and is free of objectives and reference points is always happy. Think about that. Free of objectives and reference points is always happy. The practitioner who struggles to collect provision and works to protect his wife and family is always miserable. Miserable. Next verse. The yogi who has revulsion from within and realizing everything is an illusion is always happy. Revulsion could be renunciation too. The practitioner who takes the path of distraction and binds his body and speech in servitude is always miserable. The yogi who, riding the horse of diligence, traverses the path of liberation is always happy. The practitioner who enters the shackles of laziness, the foundation stone of samsara, is always misery. There's a new thing. The foundation of stone of samsara is laziness. Next verse. The yogi who cuts the imputations of hearing and contemplating and watches the show of mind is always happy. The practitioner who accepts the Dharma but always engages in negative conduct is always miserable. The yogi who cuts through hopes, fears, and doubts and continually rests in the innate state is always happy. The practitioner who gives his leash to other people, trying to please and be harmonious, is always miserable. And last verse, the yogi who leaves everything behind and practices the sublime Dharma is always happy. Thus he sang. Then excellent motivation emerged for Falun Gong. In other words, he got the better motivation. And the other disciples' sons greatly rejoiced. During meditative equipoise, they were able to abide without wavering from the state of Mahamudra. In post-meditation, appearances dawned for them as illusions. And they made efforts in abandoning negativity and practicing virtue. The Jetson became very pleased with Lengam Repa, who later became the close Dharma friend of Dakpo Rinpoche. Dakpo Rinpoche is Gampopa, and was the first among his benefactors and disciples. This is the cycle of Milarepa's close son, Lengam Repa. So thank you, Milarepa. We appreciate it from all these years ago. 11th century, something like that. Oh. Very apt today. The mind is the same. I see nothing has changed. All right, so as promised, or advertised, or as threatened, Geshe Sopa will comment on the 14th chapter. A little bit of it we had already, but not much. The theme of this chapter, as I said, he's going to outline slowly and carefully what conventional reality is. I'll do the first few pages we had a bit of, so just give a précis of that. And this is on page, starting on page 193 of Geshe Sopa's Lamrim number 5. Number 5. I don't know. For me, this book is one of the greatest books ever. And it's so well translated by Venerable Daishin Rochard. I don't know where she is now, whatever, but I understood she worked very, very hard at it. Nikki met her while she was working on this. She did a good job. It helps. It should help us. Some of these terms it helps us get used to some of the terms that are thrown around in Buddhism, this and that, held object. So then we could start to really dig in and understand at our own pace what they're talking about. And it's the way out of suffering. So what else do you want? Ice cream? All right, later, after class. Okay. So the Prasanga Madhyamikas do not deny that ordinary things conventionally exist. So we know this. When Chandrakriti says whatever is false, even conventionally, is not a conventional truth, he is referring to things understood by conventional knowledge to be false. We can also rephrase his statement as, whatever conventional knowledge knows to be false is not a conventional truth. Oh, there's water. No, there's a mirage. The usual thing. That's not any kind of truth. It's a mistaken statement. This does not mean that ordinary things are conventionally false. No, conventionally false. The Prasangikas refute these things and prove that they do not exist even conventionally. After that, they establish ordinary things to exist conventionally in a way that is harmonious with worldly understanding. So things like, the horns of a rabbit doesn't exist conventionally. It's the words that are used, imagined, but they're not even there. So I'll skip a little. Misunderstanding can easily arise, the second paragraph on this page 193. Misunderstanding can easily arise regarding the fact that valid reasoning must be used in refuting the realists and proving the Madhyamika position. The realists are people who think all the way below Prasangika, some sort of pointing out reality exists. That's what a horse is. That's what the table, that's the essence of, from its own side, okay, which you hear 10,000 times. So those are called realists, sometimes called essentialists. Everybody throws their own words around. Eventually, everybody will settle. There'll be a big conference at the UN. I don't know. Maybe. Intelligent people accept or reject things based on whether they have proof. People, intelligent, thinking people, in other words, they don't have to be that bright, which involves a sequence of logical reasons. And we should operate that way all the time if we can. If they have a correct proof, they accept them. Without a correct proof, they don't accept them. Many so-called Madhyamikas think that the things established by the Madhyamikas as conventionally existent and the things posited by the realists are equally affected by logical analysis. In other words, if one is negated by reason, then both are equally rejected. And if one is not negated by reason, then both are equally unharmed. Different reasonings do different things. You can't make a rubber stamp of everything. So the way it is, leave it at that. They think that if we say that a divine creator, a primal essence that the Samkhya's have, prime mover in Aristotle's philosophy, and so on, do not exist conventionally, then we must also say that forms and so on do not exist. And if we say that forms and so on exist conventionally, then we must say that a divine creator, primal essence, and so on exist. So we'll leave it at that. We'll skip, down to the next to the last paragraph on 194. This interpretation of the middle way is not correct. Nagarjuna's point is that nothing can be accepted when based on the assumption that things have an inherent nature or exist by their own nature. Not exist independently, exist by their own nature. He is not saying that nothing can be accepted at all. He didn't say that. Tsong-kha-pa says this no-thought approach is a very powerful wrong view. He makes strong statements about it in various places in the Lamrim Chenmo. He's always doing that against the Hashan system, etc. Here he says that it is apparent that this position does not satisfy the wise. It is utterly unsatisfactory because it does not correctly identify the object to be negated by ultimate analysis, namely namely inherent existence, standalone from its side reality. That's it. This is that. Boom. Those who identify the object of negation too broadly destroy the establishment of all conventional things. Things are here, hello. So, uh, it is a last paragraph on 194. It is a great mistake to equate a correct view and a wrong view, such that if one is mistaken, then both are equally mistaken. And if one is unmistaken, then both are equally unmistaken. Even if you were to meditate without thought for a long time, you would not get the slightest bit closer to the correct understanding of the ultimate truth. You're going nowhere. You're having a nice mental bath, you fall asleep, then you get up, I'm refreshed. Yeah. Go to a spa and get it over with. That's not meditation that we do here, or we try to do here. Let me be honest. Not only will it not bring you any closer to the right view, it will make you further away, take you further away. Why? The reason is that this approach grossly contradicts the Madhyamaka teachings concerning the dependent phenomena of samsara and nirvana. The 12 links of dependent arising function as causes and effects. Their arising constitutes samsara, conditioned by the arising of ignorance, karma, and so on, and their cessation constitutes nirvana. The end of this, the end of ignorance, causes the whole chain to fall apart. So I'm condensing it. So if you think that cultivating the mere absence of thought leads to nirvana, then you are denying this causal relationship. Look around, everything is in a causal relationship once you start looking for it. The average guy isn't told this, the average gal isn't told it. Start looking. All these things you can verify in your everyday experiences with your ordinary mind. You don't have to sit and, blissfully go into meditation. Ordinary common sense. Just start thinking along these lines. Let's see. We'll go down farther to the bottom paragraph. No, the next to the last paragraph on 195. It's a long chapter, and if we want to get done with it in 2 classes, we have to do a little skipping, but just taking the protein part out. Also, if we get battered with too much verbiage, we're going to drift away. At least I do. Some of you might have great minds. I don't. So, okay, good. I see that I'm going out. Sometimes I'm not sure that people are there and that this thing is working, but it is working. Okay, good. According to, this is the next to last paragraph, 195, 2/3 down the page. According to Chandrakirti's system, and he's quoting Chandrakirti's verse that says, the self as it is construed by the Tatikas, non-Buddhists, who are controlled by the sleep of ignorance, and anything else contrived, such as mirage and magical illusions, do not exist even from the worldly point of view. So let's do this. According to Chandrakirti's systems, things asserted to exist by non-Buddhist philosophers and by Buddhist realists or essentialists or whatever mentioned earlier do not even conventionally, let alone ultimately, exist. It's obvious they don't exist ultimately, but that's true. But it doesn't even conventionally exist, some of these things. So what does it mean to say that something is conventionally existent or conventionally non-existent? We're getting to a point now, big point. Yeah, what is it? Yeah, what does it mean? What criteria should be used to judge whether something exists? We cannot say that thing is both existent and non-existent. No, doesn't work that way. There must be some special quality that distinguishes these categories. Rest your mind on that. Step by step. Here we go. There are 3 key criteria for something to exist conventionally. First, it is known by conventional knowledge, everyday reality. Second, the thing known in that way is not negated by another conventional valid knowledge. We'll explain all of these. Third, it is not negated by ultimate knowledge, analyzing ultimate reality, which investigates whether or not something has intrinsic existence. That's what that kind of logic is looking for, not anything else. We'll flesh it out. Or rather, Geshe Sopa will flesh it out. If I'm involved, it's going to go nowhere. Anything that does not satisfy these criteria does not exist at all. If something exists conventionally, that is a sufficient condition for it to exist. Again, if something exists conventionally, that's sufficient condition for it to exist. If something does not exist conventionally, that is a sufficient condition for it not to exist. That's all. However, if something does not exist ultimately, that is not a sufficient condition for it not to exist. Doesn't exist ultimately. Good morning. Everything doesn't exist ultimately. I'm not talking about that area. I'm talking about everyday reality. See? All right. Someone asked the question, do Buddhas see inherent existence? No, because inherent existence doesn't exist. So that's that. He sees beings fooled by the idea of it. Or she. There's no gender on that level. So bottom one last few words on 195 into 196 if you have the book. There is nothing that ultimately exists according to the Madhyamika system. To exist means to exist conventionally. This is one of the mantras that Geshe Sopa repeats all the time. To exist means to exist conventionally. Okay, now we're going to flesh out these things. The first criteria. The first criterion for something to exist conventionally is that it is known by conventional knowledge. What's conventional knowledge? Conventional knowledge is a consciousness that knows an ordinary thing, such as a tree, just as it appears to sense consciousness. It knows without analyzing in what way the object exists. It's not concerned with that. Okay? The ordinary mind does not question whether a thing's nature is something other than what appears to a sense consciousness. No, we'd be there all day. When we see a jar, we don't ask ourselves, is it real? Or what is it nature? Its nature. If somebody says that is a jar, we just follow along and think, oh yeah, that's a jar. $9.98. Okay, that's it. Yeah, okay. If somebody says this is Peter, then we think this is Peter and that other person is not Peter. We don't ask, what do you mean by Peter? Where is the real Peter? Does the name Peter refer to the head, the feet, the inside or outside? They don't go through that thing, the parts of Peter, this and that. No. There he is over there. Go get him. It makes sense. You think about it. Conventional valid awareness simply engages its object as it appears without further examination. That's that. This conventional consciousness is called non-analytical consciousness. It's always says. We leave it alone. We don't analyze. Non-analytical consciousness. In other words, it is a consciousness that does not engage in ultimate analysis to determine whether an object's reality is something deeper than its appearance. Easy to understand? Yes? If this kind of examination is absent, it is a non-analytical consciousness. Here comes the bus. Oh, what's the reality of the bus? So we should note that conventional knowing is not entirely free from any type of inquiry. No, I mean, that's not, you don't analyze at all. A so-called non-analytical consciousness may examine and analyze things in a conventional manner. What's the best car? What's the best ice cream? Blah, blah, blah. It's not investigating the mode of being of the ice cream or the car. Leave that to Chandrakirti and his chariot. If we see something in the distance that looks like a human being or possibly a tree, we may investigate to determine what it is. There are so many kinds of analytical meditations, such as on the nature of impermanence, when we analyze the object of inquiry, but we are still using non-analytical consciousnesses. What is meant here, in this context, by non-analytical consciousness is that it does not examine or look for the ultimate identity or reality of something that appears. It's just sorting things out and grading things or whatever, what we do all the time. That was my cat that didn't like me petting his head or her head. Babette, be quiet. Be a nice cat. We're very busy here. An ordinary or conventional mind is non-analytical in that it engages with objects just as they appear or are known. We do every day without exploring the final mode of being. It arises when we do any normal activity. Okay, leave it at that. Last paragraph on 196. Non-analytical consciousnesses is common to everybody, to everyone, whether highly educated, influenced by philosophical thought, or totally unaware of philosophical distinctions. It even arises in animals. So this kind of a mind is called mundane knowing or common acceptance. I like that word. Common acceptance, yes, because it has the idea of conventional meaning. We convene that this is this and that's that. Common acceptance. Or mundane knowing, whatever you like. There's probably other definitions in other writers, other translators' lexicon, but we're using this here. It is wrong to think that mundane knowing or non-analytical consciousness exists only in those who are not influenced by philosophy. We do not need to limit ourselves to asking uneducated people about what is commonly accepted. We can ask anyone. Anyone coming. High Lama is accepting. Come on. We can ask anyone. Oh, I already said. Although philosophers frequently think about ultimate reality, not all of their consciousnesses analyze the ultimate mode of existence. No, they never get on the bus. They never do this. Anyway, we can even see how the non-analytical mind functions when two people are involved in philosophical debate. For although they may disagree about certain issues, they hold in common many unexamined assumptions that function as a basis for their thoughts and expressions. Unexamined assumptions. There's a bomb. Think about that. Think about how we live with unexamined assumptions. Next paragraph on 197. That's where I am. When commonly accepted in the world, what is commonly accepted in the world is whatever appears or is experienced. Does it appear, senses? Is it experienced? The two types of convention, thoughts and words, we'll have more to say about that later, arise based on such appearances and experiences. So I'll say that again because it's a hot sentence. What is commonly accepted in the world is whatever appears or is experienced. These two types of convention, thoughts and words, arise based on such appearances and experiences. Something must appear to the mind and be experienced before we can think or say anything about it. First, our thoughts arise based on what we experience. Then we apply a name to it and label it good or bad or whatever. Next paragraph, we're on 197 if you have the book. We may wonder whether subtle things such as the Dharma can be known by non-analytical consciousnesses. Ordinary people who have not studied Buddhism do not know about karma and its results, which is the side of samsara, nor do they know about the grounds and paths to enlightenment, which is the side of nirvana. He's slipping in a little subliminal teaching here. However, when ordinary people hear teachings on these subjects, they can take them as an object of study and learn to differentiate them. They can understand what they have heard based on their ordinary experience without having to examine whether these objects can be found through ultimate analysis or are merely imputed. They're going to go there. They're learning. Here's another hot sentence. Because these things appear to ordinary consciousness and not just to a mind analyzing the ultimate, they can be known by conventional knowledge. Again, because these things appear to ordinary consciousnesses and not just to a mind analyzing the ultimate, they can be known by conventional knowledge. The fault that these things are not known by conventional knowledge does not arise. They are known. That's it. Second criterion. Remember? The second criterion for a thing to be conventionally existent is that it is not negated by another conventional knowledge. That's easy to understand. One valid understanding were to perceive something, while another valid understanding knew it to be the opposite, then one understanding would negate the other. It's obvious. If something were contradicted in this manner, then it could not be conventionally existent. For example, your conventional consciousness is not valid if it thinks that is a snake, talking about rope, when we see a coiled rope in a dark corner. Or that is water when we see a mirage in the distance. Simple, right? Why? Because the object that it holds, hold object and appearing objects are two different things I'll introduce right now. What's held is what's understood. Appearance there is wrong, and the understanding was wrong, based on a faulty appearance. That's a snake. No, it's rope. Look carefully. They held it to be a snake, based on a false appearance. Okay, what you'll hear more about held object and appearing object. That's a big deal in Buddhism. For example, your conventional consciousness is not valid if it thinks that is a snake when you see a coiled rope in a dark corner, or there is water when you see a mirage in the distance. Why? Because the object that it holds or understands, a snake or water, can be negated by another conventional consciousness that is actually valid. And that's not that. Look carefully. Oh, it's all very easy. There's no snake there at all. If we examine it more closely, we see it is just a piece of rope. There's no water there at all. If we examine the mirage, we find it is just a reflection of sunlight on sand. One conventional consciousness holds a piece of rope to be a snake. Another conventional consciousness understands that there is no snake there. That's all. Simple. Because the second consciousness relies on truth, it harms the first. Remember that, because that's a big point. What relies on truth harms the untruth. Holding a piece of rope to be a snake or a mirage to be water is an incorrect way to grasp the object. Valid knowing, valid knowing contradicts incorrect belief. If something is affirmed by valid knowledge, then it exists conventionally. Whatever is negated by valid knowledge does not exist at all, not even conventionally. It is totally non-existent. You may wonder, I'm sure you do, you all are wondering, why aren't the two consciousnesses mutually harmful? If one thing harms another simply by contradicting it, then why doesn't the reverse happen too? We already told the answer, but let's see. Why doesn't an invalid consciousness harm valid consciousness? Why is the wisdom realizing selflessness always the harmer of the egotistical view of self-grasping? He's slipping in. In his commentary on valid cognition, Dharmakirti says that a valid consciousness harms an invalid consciousness because it has a different nature based on truth. Because it has a different nature based on truth. Leave it at that. Don't say, what kind of truth? Don't tell me truth. Leave it at that. There's times to use that, and times there's just a... He explains that the egotistic view and the wisdom understanding selflessnesses grasp their respective objects in directly opposite ways. Their natures are utterly different. Although these two ways of holding the object or understanding the object struggle with each other temporarily, eventually the wisdom realizing selflessness completely destroys the self-grasping egotistic view. The self-grasping mind cannot destroy the wisdom realizing selflessness because that wisdom relies on the truth, whereas self-grasping relies on falsehood. Truth harms falsehood. Yay, put that in stone. Put that in the canvas. You won't find truth there, so who knows? The third criterion, which we won't be able to finish because we only got a few minutes, for something to be conventionally existent is that the thing is not proved false by correct ultimate analysis that investigates whether it exists inherently. That analysis is not looking for the thing based on the thing it sees, the conventional reality, whatever, the desk or whatever. It's looking for its inherent existence. We're going to find it because inherent existence doesn't exist. But that mind is only doing that exercise. It's not trying to eliminate conventional reality. Even though it can be fooled when it realizes emptiness directly, the object, the person, everything, vacuity, you could take the false conclusion, nothing really exists, that's the way it is. Wrong. That's why we have these texts and those who walk before us telling us, don't jump to that conclusion. There's a lot there, and I'm not a yogi, so I don't know exactly how to explain that, but what does it mean that ultimate analysis? This means that any conventionally existent thing must be established by conventional valid knowledge. That's all. And it must not be negated by ultimate valid knowledge. Why? Wait a minute. In addition, it must definitely not be proved by ultimate valid knowledge. Why? If it were found by correct ultimate analysis, then it will be truly or inherently existent. That thing is looking for inherent existence, not looking for what's up to looking for inherent existence. If it found it, the thing would be inherently existent, and that doesn't exist. So it finds the lack of inherent existence, aka emptiness. So that's the way the exercise works. Ultimate analysis, Geshe Sopogud continues, and we're on page 198, second section. Ultimate analysis is an examination of whether or not something exists by its own nature, from its own side, inherently. We can go on. If a thing were sought and found by correct ultimate analysis, then it would be inherently existent. If a conventional thing were established by ultimate analysis, it would exist by its own nature inherently, which would contradict its being a conventional thing. That's why I made the decision. So conventional things can neither be established by ultimate analysis nor negated by ultimate analysis. It's not its sphere of authority to establish conventional reality. That's all. This can be confusing. This can be confusing. Page 198, the bottom. Certain people erroneously think that not being negated by ultimate analysis and being established by ultimate analysis mean the same thing. Not being negated and being established mean the same thing. This is tricky. Owing to getting these mixed up, they mistakenly think that the following two propositions are equally true or false, even in a conventional sense. And here they are. Happiness and suffering arise from virtue and non virtue, and happiness and suffering arise from the creator God Ishvara and the universal primordial nature. So happiness and virtue arise from uh, virtue and non-virtue. Okay, sounds good. And also they arise from a creator and from an ultimate primal essence, like this Samkhya's believe, the God Ishvara, etc. Because neither proposition is established by ultimate analysis. No, the ultimate analysis isn't concerned with that. Does anything exist inherently? That's all. They think that if one of them is right, then the other is equally correct. And if one of them is wrong, then the other is equally incorrect. This is mistaken thinking. Ultimate analysis examines whether something is inherently existent. Using this analysis, we find that neither statement is proved or established as such. However, the two propositions are not equal in that conventional reasoning negates one of them and does not negate the other. You can prove no creator. You can prove no primal essence. You can prove virtue yields this, non-virtue yields that. With an ordinary mind, someone who has a correct understanding of these matters does not become confused in this way. So let's go out and get a correct understanding. How? Read these things over, listen to them over, go to other teachers, see what they say, other texts. You got to stay on it and take your time. You get something, you get confused, put the book down, come back a day later. Be patient. Take your time. There's no race. Nobody's racing each other. This is not, who's top of the class. No top of the class. Everyone's going to be a Buddha. So you can relax. Have a slice. The topping is up to you. So we'll leave it at that. And let me make a mark so I don't repeat the same thing time and time again, which I'm famous for doing. So, Yeshe Soba and these people work so hard on this book to be respected in our prayers. Wonderful. I mean, just, they're going to get us out of all our troubles. So, for whom, or who, or whatever, we pray, who has passed away. Hi, Patrick, and Charlie, everybody. Leslie, thank you, everybody. Where's Darren? He's not here. No one mentioned anyone? Buenas tardes, Bill. It's probably already evening over there. Sutra of the Recollection of Three Jewels. There's no shortage of people we can pray for who have died and need to be reborn in a nice place. No shortage at all. Read the papers. Sutra of the Recollection of the Noble Three Jewels. I prostrate to the Omniscient One. Thus the Buddha, Bhagavata, Tathagata, Arahat, Samyak Sang Buddha, the learned and virtuous one, the Sugata, the knower of the world, the charioteer and tamer of beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans, is the Buddha Bhagavat. The Tathagata is in accord with all merit. He does not waste the roots of virtue. He is completely ornamented with all patience. He is the basis of the treasures of merit. He is adorned with the minor marks. He blossoms with the flowers of the major marks. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him, he is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those who long with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strength cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all sentient beings. He is the father of bodhisattvas. He is the king of noble ones. He is the guide of those who journey to the city of nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough of seeing him. His form is incomparable. He is not stained by the realm of desire. He is not stained by the realm of form. He is not affected by the formless realm. He is completely liberated from suffering. He is completely and utterly liberated from the skandhas. He is not possessed with dhatus. His ayatanas are controlled. He has completely cut the knots. He is completely liberated from extreme torment. He is liberated from craving. He is crossed over the river. He is perfected in all the wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavat who arise in the past, present, and future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in the ultimate perfection. He dwells on the bhumi where he sees all sentient beings. All these are the perfect virtues of the greatness of the Buddha Bhagavat. The Holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent. Its words are excellent. It is uncorrupted. It is completely perfect and completely pure. It completely purifies. The Bhagavad teaches the Dharma well. It brings complete vision. It is free from sickness. It is always timely. It directs one further. Seeing it fulfills one's purpose. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma, which is taught by the Bhagavad, is revealed properly in the Vinaya. It is renunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction, it is pithy, it is trustworthy, and puts an end to the journey. As for the Sangha of the great Yana, they enter completely, they enter insightfully, they enter straightforwardly, they enter harmoniously. They are worthy of veneration with joined palms. They are worthy of receiving prostration. They are a field of glorious merit. They are completely capable of receiving all gifts. They are an object of generosity. They are a great object of complete generosity. The protector who possesses great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of oceans of merit and virtue, I prostrate to the Tathagata. Pure, the cause of freedom from passion, virtuous, liberating from the lower realms. This alone is the supreme ultimate truth. I prostrate to the Dharma, which is peace. Having been liberated, they show the path of liberation. They are fully dedicated to the disciplines. They are a holy field of merit and possess virtue. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha, the leader. I prostrate to the Dharma, the protector. I prostrate to the Sangha, the community. I prostrate respectfully and always to these three. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable. The Dharma's virtues are inconceivable. The Sangha's virtues are inconceivable. Having faith in these inconceivables, therefore the fruitions are inconceivable. May they be born in a completely pure way. As a further cause for the quick return, Marato Chungla Rinpoche, His Holiness recommends we say this prayer for the flourishing of Jay Tsong-kha-pa's teachings, which Chungla Rinpoche and all the other lamas embody on the website. Though he's the father, producer of all conquerors, as a conqueror's son, he produced the thought of upholding the conqueror's Dharma in infinite worlds. Through this truth, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. When of yore in the presence of Buddha Indraketu, he made his vow. The conqueror and his offspring praised his powerful courage. Through this truth, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. That the lineage of pure view and conduct might spread, he offered a white crystal rosary to the sage, who gave him a conch and prophesied. Through this truth, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. His pure view free of eternity or destruction, his pure meditation cleansed of dark, fading, and fog, his pure conduct practiced according to the conqueror's orders, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. Learned, since he extensively sought out learning, reverent, rightly applying it to himself, good, dedicating all for beings and the doctrine, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. Through being sure that all scripture is definitive and interpretive or without contradiction, advice for one person's practice, he stopped all misconduct. May the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. Listening to explanations of the three Pitakas, realized teachings, practice of the three trainings, his skilled and accomplished life story is amazing. May the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. Outwardly calmed and subdued by the hearer's conduct, inwardly trusting in the two stages practice, he lied without clash the good paths of Sutra and Tantra. May the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. Combining voidness, explained as the causal vehicle, with great bliss achieved by method, the effect vehicle. Heart essence of 80,000 Dharma bundles, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. By the power of the ocean of oath-bound doctrine protectors, like the main guardians of the three beings' paths, the quick-acting Lord, Vaishravana, Karma Yama, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. In short, by the lasting of glorious Buddha's lives, by the earth being full of good, learned, reverent holders of the teaching, and by the increase of the power of its patrons, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. And now we have 8 verses on training the mind. Pardon me for 1 second. Iced espresso. With the determination to accomplish the highest welfare of all sentient beings who surpass even a wish-granting jewel, I will learn to hold them supremely dear. Whenever I associate with others, I will learn to think of myself as the lowest amongst all, and respectfully hold others to be supreme from the very depths of my heart. In all actions, I will learn to search into my mind, and as soon as a disturbing emotion arises, endangering myself and others, I will firmly face and avert it. I will learn to cherish ill-natured beings, and those oppressed by strong misdeeds and sufferings, as if I had found a precious treasure difficult to find. When others out of jealousy treat me badly with abuse, slander, and so on, I will learn to take all loss and offer the victory to them. When the one whom I have benefited with great hope unreasonably hurts me very badly, I will learn to view that person as an excellent spiritual guide. In short, I will learn to offer to everyone without exception all help and happiness directly and indirectly, and respectfully take upon myself all harm and suffering of my mothers. I will learn to keep all these practices undefiled by the stains of the eight worldly concerns, and by understanding all phenomena as like illusions, be released from the bondage of attachment. So our next class will be the third Wednesday at 7 o'clock. And we'll continue with this explanation. The main point here is to get used to these terms so that they resonate easily with you. So then when you start reading different presentations, you're not thrown off. You know, what the held object is, what's the understood object, what's just the thing that appears, what the mind does with it. We'll be discussing that next class, etc. It's important because it's the way out of samsara. It's the way out of all our suffering. Take your time. It's very, I know, for us, we're not used to it. Well, some of you might pick it up right away. It depends on your roots from past lives. Mine aren't so hot, but they're slowly. I mean, I'm here 46 years. It's taking me so long. Ay, ay, ay. Anyway, we're very lucky that these lamas have come and explained things. So let's do our best. Anyway, thank you for your patient listening to a very complicated topic. Big love to all of you. Take care, guys.